All right, the Pro Bowl selections are in, and the San Francisco 49ers did not break the NFL record. Some people thought they might even shatter it this year, especially after the fan vote, which was staggering in the 49ers' favor. But the 49ers did reach 9 Pro Bowlers this season, which is their highest amount since 2013. That's the team that lost in the NFC Championship game to the Seattle Seahawks. So without further ado, why don't we take a look at the 49ers' 9 Pro Bowlers? We can go through all of them. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Charvarius Ward, Fred Warner, and Trent Williams. The alternates for the 49ers. There are a lot of alternates. I'll just read last name for the alternates. Aiyuk, Armstead, Banks, Brendel, Burks, Greenlaw, Lenore, McKivitz, Tabor Pepper, the long snapper, Deebo Samuel, Wisnowski, and Chase Young. How did the 49ers get this many alternates and this many selections for the Pro Bowl? Well, I think this is the most staggering number of all. Top 5 in NFL fan voting. The 49ers had 1.14 million total fan votes. The Dolphins had 895,000. The Cowboys, 758,000. The Ravens, 619,000. And the Eagles, less than half of what the 49ers put up. 577,000, or maybe a little bit more than half. Right around half. We'll just put it that way. Ballpark number for the Eagles. So what about the Cowboys and America's team? I mean, do you see the gap between the 49ers and everybody else? Between this up on your screen right here, this staggering advantage in Pro Bowl vote, and the fact that the San Francisco 49ers filled up 48% of opposing stadiums on average this year. They're charging hard. They're trying to lay claim to being America's team. And they're not going to call themselves that, but it's unmistakably a realistic goal for this 49ers team to unseat the Cowboys in terms of popularity. Again, the proof is in the numbers, and the Cowboys are having a good year too. They're not having a seismic year like the 49ers, but the fact that the 49ers were the only team over 1 million combined fan votes, that shows the power of the brand. Anyway, 9 Pro Bowlers for the 49ers, the most since 2013. Full list here for you. Now, I do think there was a snub. I think that we have to start with the snub, and that is Brandon Aiyuk. Why is he a snub? Well, he has over 1,300 receiving yards. I made a separate video on this. You could see charts like this. Both Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel did not earn a Pro Bowl spot this year. They were not voted in. But you all just take a look at the success rate of Brandon Aiyuk when targeted. It's so far and ahead of every other receiver in the NFL. And then the average yards after expectation, he's also way above average. That's on the x-axis. You see Deebo Samuel way at the top here. Deebo Samuel is a tried and true bona fide yak monster. Brandon Aiyuk, though, is just a stud as a receiver. Look how much better things go. Success rate whenever Brandon Aiyuk is targeted versus any other receiver. That's nearly an 80% success rate when he's targeted, if I'm looking down here. Other receivers top out at about 60%. So the fact that Brandon Aiyuk did not get voted to the Pro Bowl, that one stings. It reminds me a little bit of last season when Christian McCaffrey was not named to the Pro Bowl, and Christian McCaffrey was steamed about that last season. I have to tweet about that right now, because the fact that Christian McCaffrey didn't make the Pro Bowl last year is so startlingly, I don't even know if that's a word, right? It's startling. Startlingly, no, it's probably not a word. It is startling, and it is mind-boggling. It's leading me to try to invent new words. That's how crazy it was that McCaffrey wasn't a Pro Bowler last year. I don't think that the Brandon Aiyuk snub is on the same level, but it's a snub regardless, because of what I just showed you up on that screen. You saw how much more efficient Brandon Aiyuk has been than any other wide receiver in terms of success rate this season. Efficiency-wise, he's behind the great Tyreek Hill in Miami. Tyreek Hill obviously has put up historical numbers, yards per route run. We look at his figure there is over 4. We had never seen anything like that. But Brandon Aiyuk put up a Julio Jones-like yards per route run figure this year. He was over 3 yards per route run. I'll get the very updated figures for you in a little bit. But the fact that Christian McCaffrey is on the inside this year, that can make everybody breathe a little bit easier. I don't think that there was ever a danger this season. I'm still not sure that there should have been a danger of Christian McCaffrey not making the Pro Bowl last season, though. But I'll tweet about McCaffrey in a little bit. I'm sure everybody's busy tweeting right now. Don't have to compete with all that noise online. Brock Purdy is a Pro Bowler for the 49ers. Statistically, the best quarterback in football. This is one of the greatest seasons that we've ever seen from a quarterback. Brock Purdy became the highest yards per attempt in NFL history with over 400 attempts in a season. 444 attempts, 9.6 yards per attempt, 4,280 yards. He set a 49ers franchise passing record on a run-oriented offense. You can't say enough about the work that Brock Purdy did for the 49ers this season. And you know what? We could even play some of it right now. This is Brock Purdy. This is an MVP case right here. The numbers are his MVP case, but then you look at stuff like this. I mean, he's got the quickness of the really mobile guys in the game. He's got his own mental wherewithal. I mean, I think might be the smartest quarterback in the league, and that is as a 24-year-old, because he's making these decisions and he's also making these throws without a whole lot of experience. So the smarts are definitely there for Brock Purdy, and the arm strength is definitely there for Brock Purdy, as you can see right here. What a dime to Brandon Aiyuk. Speaking of Aiyuk, well, he's the one making that catch. That's not an easy catch for Brandon Aiyuk, so we could put Aiyuk snubbed back on there. Aiyuk and Purdy had an amazing connection this season. Brock Purdy also the most accurate deep passer on record in NFL history. 63.8% of his deep passes were completions this season. So Purdy deserves all the flowers that he gets. He should be an all-pro as well. And nobody with his statistical profile and his tape resume, nobody that's put up anything comparable in NFL history has been anything but a unanimous MVP. So I get it. He's not the favorite to win because it seems that award has been politicized on a week-by-week basis. It just is like, oh, who's the latest MVP candidate? All right, the Ravens won this big game. Now Lamar Jackson's the favorite. It shouldn't work that way. There should be some sense of respect for the full body of work, but I get it. If they're not going to vote on it that way, they're not going to vote on it that way. Personally, I think that the Super Bowl MVP award is the award that's designed for a one-game performance, and the regular season MVP award is designed for the full season performance. But if the AP voters don't go in line with that, then Brock Purdy will have to be happy with the Pro Bowl, potentially All-Pro, and then the Super Bowl, because that's what the 49ers are gunning for. Charvarius Ward, 49ers cornerback. This was his first ever Pro Bowl, and he certainly deserves it. 16 pass breakups for Charvarius Ward, leads the NFL. 5 interceptions for Mooney Ward, is number 2 amongst corners in the NFL, behind only Deron Bland of the Cowboys, who had all those pick sixes and 8 interceptions this year. But Ward has effectively shut down, or at least dissuaded, opposing quarterbacks from going to one half of the field, and has done so much for this 49ers defense. Again, 16 pass breakups to lead the league. That stat is not a joke. That stat has done so much for this 49ers defense. And you could put a feather in Steve Wilks' cap for this one as well. They thought that Steve Wilks, the new defensive coordinator, might be able to raise the level of DB play in San Francisco, and I think he certainly has raised the level of DB play for the 49ers. Then we have Nick Bosa. Bosa is having just as good of a year this year as last year. He just has gotten way more defensive attention or offensive attention on the defense than last year. And on top of that, I think that the quick game for opposing offenses has really refined itself over the course of the offseason heading into this season. So the 49ers are dealing with less sack opportunities than before, but Bosa is still impacting the game at the very highest level. So he should be an all-pro again. The concerns about him earlier this season showed no understanding of how football works. If you're just counting sacks, you're not actually paying attention to true game impact. And Bosa has definitely delivered true game impact this year. He is a Pro Bowler once again. Every single season that Nick Bosa has finished healthy, he has been a Pro Bowler. So that's 2019, 2021, 2022, and now for the 4th time, 2023. Javon Hargrave, coming off a Pro Bowl year for the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best interior pass rushers in the game. remain that way for the 49ers this year. He is a Pro Bowler. He's been very good rushing the passer for the 49ers. Run stopping is not Javon Hargrave's specialty. That's why the 49ers picked up Sebastian Joseph Day. That's why they really hope that they get Eric Armstead back sooner rather than later. But getting after the passer is a huge, huge component of what the 49ers needed that was missing last season, and Javon Hargrave has given them that. I'm not even sure. I lost count of how many Pro Bowl appearances or Pro Bowl selections Kyle Juszczyk has earned, but it's a lot. Essentially, every single season that he's been in the NFL after, I think year 2 or year 3 with the Ravens, Kyle Juszczyk has been a Pro Bowl fullback, including every single season with the 49ers. That's 7 Pro Bowl appearances for the 49ers, and Juszczyk deserves every cent of his contract, which paces the position, because he's not only playing fullback and he's a great lead blocker, but he also plays H-back. He plays tight end. He'll play slot receiver, his college position. He'll even line up out wide. And over the past 2 games, on the first drive, the 49ers have targeted Kyle Juszczyk, which I think is significant. It marks a very interesting evolution of their offense, because Kyle Juszczyk has 8 Pro Bowls now, by the way. Mike just texted me that. So 8 Pro Bowls for Juszczyk. That's almost as many as the 49ers have Pro Bowlers this year with 9. But anyway, they went to Juszczyk twice on the opening drive of the past 2 games. And that is significant because the 49ers have so many other weapons, as you can see from all these Pro Bowlers that they have. When you have Deebo to go to, Aiyuk to go to, McCaffrey, George Kittle, everybody on that offense is obviously capable of scoring anytime they touch the ball. To put Kyle Juszczyk higher up in the read order early in the game is going to throw a whole other wrench in opposing defensive game plans. So Juszczyk's versatility remains invaluable for the 49ers. George Kittle, first 1,000-yard receiving season since 2019. It's when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 18 and 19, and now George Kittle is sitting on another 1,000-yard season. He has been so productive, especially on some of those intermediate passes, but I still remember the deep ball that he caught when Purdy looked like he was throwing a grenade out of a bunker in Jacksonville. Kittle then high-stepped, or I think he walked his way across the end zone. Didn't high-step on that one. Yeah, he walked because he was all alone downfield. Kittle is a threat downfield. He's a threat closer to the line of scrimmage. He's a threat on the intermediate passes. He's tough as hell. He can hold on through big contact, and obviously he's the best blocking tight end in the game. He has reaffirmed his status as the best tight end in football with his performance so far this season. Travis Kelce, he gets all the hype. He gets all the headlines with the whole Taylor Swift thing so far this year, but George Kittle is delivering the results. 1,000+ yards, and the results in the blocking game are no joke either. The biggest snub last year that I already talked about, it was a complete joke that Christian McCaffrey wasn't named to the Pro Bowl. Well, that snub has been fixed this year. McCaffrey is a Pro Bowler. He was so motivated and so upset by not making it last year, as he should have been. That was ridiculous. But this season, Christian McCaffrey, over 2,000 all-purpose yards for the second time in his career. He eclipsed that mark in 2019. This year, McCaffrey is riding high for the 49ers as maybe the best player in football. I think that you can say that, right? Not necessarily the most valuable player in football, but the best player in football. I could say that for sure for Christian McCaffrey. Then there is Fred Warner, the best linebacker in football, awesome in coverage. The tackling might have fallen off a little bit this year, but he's working to correct that ahead of the postseason. But Warner wears the radio in his helmet. He's a stud all around. He is a Pro Bowler yet again. Finally, the best offensive lineman in the game today, and possibly the best offensive lineman to ever suit it up in NFL history, is the 49ers left tackle, Trent Williams. Trent is, you can't say enough about him. He's 35 years old, but he's acting like a little kid with his contagious joy for the game in that 49ers locker room. It is, I think, an otherwise subpar offensive line, but Trent Williams is so good that he makes that line passable. For the 49ers, it is a cheat code to run to the left side of the field behind Williams and George Kittle when he's combo blocking with Trent Williams, and Christian McCaffrey certainly enjoys that. This offense has been establishing record-breaking efficiency numbers, And this season, the proof really, really is in the pudding with what the 49ers have been doing offensively. And that's why they have these offensive Pro Bowlers. The alternates, some of them snubs. Brandon Aiyuk, Eric Armstead, I think he would have been in the Pro Bowl had he not been hurt. Armstead obviously missed significant time. Aaron Banks, the left guard, he took a big step forward for the 49ers this year. He was a big part of that left side of the offensive line blocking. Jake Brendel, the center. Oren Burks, the linebacker. Dre Greenlaw, another linebacker. He's in that tandem there with Fred Warner. Diamaro Lenore took a step forward to become a Pro Bowl alternate this year. Colton McKivitz, the right tackle. Tabor Pepper, Deebo Samuel, Mitch Wishnowsky, and Chase Young. The fact that the 49ers have so many alternates is a testament to how well their fans voted. Remember, a third of the voting is the fan vote. And the 49ers had 1.14 million votes from fans. 1.14 million. Number two, the Dolphins at 895,000. The Cowboys at 758,000. The Ravens at 619,000. And the Eagles at 577,000. The 49ers just blew everyone away. Staggering stuff right here. And that's why the alternate list for the Pro Bowl is so damn long for the 49ers. That said, Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel, snubs. Look at Aiyuk's dot. That is success rate when targeted, that far off to the right. Deebo Samuel is the best yards after the catch receiver in the game. Aiyuk is good too, but Aiyuk was money this year because he generated so much separation, and I guess I shouldn't talk in the past tense. He still is generating separation. And the 49ers and Aiyuk will try to ride the emotion of this snub, and we'll see what Aiyuk has to say about it tomorrow. But Christian McCaffrey used his snub last year as fuel, and I'm sure that Brandon Aiyuk is going to try to do something similar this season. So 9 Pro Bowlers for the 49ers, their most since 2013. At the end of the day, these awards are just awards, except that sometimes player incentives are tied to Pro Bowl and all pro appearances. So at that moment, they become a little bit more than awards when they mean monetary recognition for players. But really, the main gist of it is that these guys care a whole lot more about a potential Super Bowl trophy and Super Bowl rings than they do about Pro Bowl recognition. And that's just something to keep in mind throughout all of this, because these awards, that there is a political component to them, right? You're literally looking at votes determining these awards, and a third of it is fan votes and 2/3 of it is coach and player votes, and it all is combined into what seems like a complicated formula. The 49ers obviously got so many of those fan votes, but you don't know what happened in the other 2/3 of the votes, and that might have led to some of these players not getting the recognition that they're going to feel that they deserved. Still, 9 Pro Bowlers for the 49ers, the most since 2013. The NFL record is tied between two teams. The 1973 Miami Dolphins, the year after they went undefeated, had 12 Pro Bowlers, and the 2019 Ravens. That Ravens team lost in the playoffs. That was the year that Lamar Jackson won the MVP. They also had 12 Pro Bowlers. So the 49ers have 9 this year, the most since 2013. I think when you look at the list of alternates, they would have had double digits if with a little bit better health. I think you look at somebody like Eric Armstead would have been a Pro Bowler with better health, although he's been snubbed before. He was snubbed in 2019. I think Brandon Aiyuk was certainly snubbed. I think you can make a case for somebody like Deebo Samuel to be on the Pro Bowl team despite some of his injuries. I think Dre Greenlaw might have missed a little too much time. Dre Greenlaw missed a couple games here and there with injury, and obviously he's been at the center of a lot of scrutiny due to some of the penalties. So not surprising that he didn't make it, but you could still see how there's some left on the table here for the 49ers in terms of the Pro Bowl this season. Once again, the list of 49ers who made it is right here for you. Those are the alternates. Sorry, got the wrong one up there. Here are the 49ers who made it. And we'll open this up to a Q&A. About 19 or 20 minutes in. '49ers Q&A. I'm making a text title for this right now. There you go. Why don't we start answering our questions or asking our questions, and we will go from there. At least Christian McCaffrey made it to the Pro Bowl this time. That was one of the worst snubs ever last season. That was really bad. When McCaffrey made all pro, but not the Pro Bowl, I can't even, it's hard to illustrate how bad that was last year. All right, 49ers Q&A is off and running. We have the Pro Bowl team, and I'm ready to answer some questions. Mike, do you have a link to the full list of the Pro Bowl team? I would appreciate it if you did. Because if you do, you guys like my snowman, by the way? Pretty cool, huh? Drinking some tea. Mike is going to send me the full Pro Bowl team so we could talk about the entire NFC and AFC teams and see where the 49ers were snubbed in the context of that, where the 49ers weren't snubbed. All right, we got it all. I could post this on the screen. This is going to be great. Let me get this open for everybody, and we'll go from there. I have so many files on this computer. Just a bunch of football graphs over the course of the season. They really add up. All right, I found it. We're going to roll it into here. Boom. Let's get it big up on the screen right now. All right, this is the full Pro Bowl team. Maybe you could zoom in if you need to. I could zoom in, actually. There we go. There, we could see the entire NFC up on the screen. So Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and Matt Stafford, the NFC's quarterbacks. So here are the receivers: A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb, and Puka Nacua. All right, I mean, all these guys had nice seasons, but again, look where Brandon Aiyuk is compared to everybody. He's way out here in terms of success rate. I mean, Aiyuk, again, you have to put everything within the context of opportunity, right? And Aiyuk is on such a loaded offense that he's not going to get as many footballs coming his way, and he still had over 1,300 receiving yards. And you have to look at it more from an efficiency standpoint instead of a raw yardage standpoint. And the efficiency standpoint favors Aiyuk heavily. The fact that he's not one of the four receivers on this list, that's really, really tough. Running backs: McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, and Kyren Williams. Congratulations to the rookie Kyren Williams, but congratulations to McCaffrey, who was pushed out of that mix, I remember, by, I believe, Tony Pollard and Miles Sanders last year. It just wasn't right last year. That was one of the worst snubs that we had ever seen, but McCaffrey was able to overcome that this season. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. He is your one and only fullback from the NFC, the representative there. Look at the two Iowa guys at tight end. The veteran, George Kittle, in his 7th season. The rookie, Sam Laporta. Maybe the 49ers see the Lions in the postseason. Maybe they don't. But Kittle and Laporta at tight end. Tackles, Lane Johnson, Penei Sewell, and Trent Williams. Seems right to me. Guards, Landon Dickerson of the Eagles, Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons, Zach Martin of the Cowboys. Centers, Jason Kelce of the Eagles, and Frank Ragnow of the Lions. All right, now we're going on to defense. The defensive ends, Nick Bosa and Montez Sweat. Sweat came over from Washington to the Bears, had a nice season. Chase Young is an alternate. Aiden Hutchinson, also one of the defensive ends. Interior linemen. Looks like the 49ers spent their money wisely on Javon Hargrave because he's up there with Aaron Donald and Dexter Lawrence. That is good company for Javon Hargrave. Outside linebackers, Daniil Hunter, Micah, and it's funny because they have defensive ends and outside linebackers. The 49ers run a 4-3 as opposed to these teams that run a 3-4. So it's two separate positions. It's a good way to get an extra amount of edge rushers on there. And edge rushers are so important that it's probably smart to have more slots for them. But Daniil Hunter, Micah Parsons, and Hassan Reddick all make the team. Inside linebackers, Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner. Remember, Fred Warner was drafted by the 49ers when they're still really, really running the Seattle-style 4-3. And Bobby Wagner was the guy that he was out there trying to emulate. And they both wear number 54. They both have the radio on their helmet. That's some cool symmetry, right? Wagner near the end of his career, Fred Warner right in the middle of his prime. Cornerbacks, Deron Bland with those 8 interceptions, all those pick sixes. Charvarius Ward, Jalen Johnson out of Fresno Central High School. He's been awesome for the Bears this year. And Devon Witherspoon, who I just don't think is that great of a tackler. He's done some good stuff, but the 49ers made him look bad when they played Seattle this season. One free safety, Jesse Bates, came over from Cincinnati to Atlanta. 2 strong safeties, Buda Baker and Julian Love. Remember last year, Talanoa Hufanga was an all-pro at safety, but that won't happen this season with his ACL tear. As far as the specialists go, the punter is Brian Anger from the Cowboys. Brandon Aubrey, who's yet to miss, is the kicker. Andrew DePaula is the long snapper from Minnesota. The return specialist is Rashid Shaheed from the Saints. And Jalen Reeves-Maben is the special teams Pro Bowl selection. George Odom of the 49ers was actually leading the NFL in special teams tackles at the time of his torn biceps injury. Had to have surgery, so he's on IR. They are hoping to get George Odom back, though, maybe by the NFC Championship game, and the 49ers are extra lucky, perhaps even sooner than that. So just wanted to take you through the 49ers Pro Bowl selections. Everybody want to see the alternates? Since I just went through the whole team, here are the alternates for the 49ers. Aiyuk, Armstead, Banks, Brendel, Burks, Greenlaw, Lenore, McKivitz, Pepper, Samuel, Wishnowsky, and Chase Young. Go for Broke wants to put up a pop quiz. I don't think I know the answer to this. Last year, week 14 against Tampa Bay, on the play when the crowd was chanting Purdy, 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 who was the safety who almost negated Christian McCaffrey's touchdown by making him bobble the ball? Was it Antoine Winfield, or was Winfield not playing in that game? Maybe Winfield wasn't playing in that game against Tampa Bay last year. I don't know. Give us the answer, man. I have people guessing Winfield, but I think Winfield might not have been playing last year against the 49ers. So I know that Vita Vea got hurt really early on, and I know that they might have been missing at least one more really good player. Purdy not starting Sunday, I don't think that has anything to do with Stafford not starting. I think it's just the 49ers want to protect Brock Purdy ahead of the postseason. So I gave you the update on that a little bit earlier. It is going to be Sam Darnold against Carson Wentz, and 49ers against the Rams. It was Logan Ryan. I know that Logan Ryan was on Tampa Bay last year. I didn't realize that was... So he was in that game when the 49ers blew out Tampa Bay against Brock Purdy. I'm going to have to ask Logan about that then. It'll be interesting to get a perspective of somebody who's on the opposite side of that. That's an awesome throwback there. That's a good trivia question and answer. Thank you. Well, you may not have to watch 4 quarters of Sam Darnold. You may get to see some Brandon Allen too. They'll probably do Darnold QB1, Brandon Allen QB2, and then Purdy emergency QB3. I would think that makes the most sense, unless they want to give Purdy a full day off. Don't even put on your pads. Don't warm up. Just sit here and watch. If they feel that Purdy deserves that kind of break, then they just won't carry an emergency QB. And if both QBs get hurt, then they'll just have Juszczyk take snaps and knees. I don't think they would push anything. You're literally in a position, if you're the 49ers, if worst comes to worst and people do get hurt and you just need to kneel out the game, nothing is stopping you from doing that, right? You could just sit there under center and have Juszczyk take a snap and take a knee for several plays. Like it's yeah, it's not something I don't think anybody wants to do, but if worst came to worst, then I think the 49ers could do that. And so I don't think it's mandatory to have a third emergency quarterback in this game. We'll see if they do that, because if you do, then Purdy has to dress, he has to stretch, he has to throw in pregame warmups. So the question is, do you just want to give him the full day off or not? George Kittle is number one in the NFL with a total EPA of 61.3. He's added 61 expected points. That's out of all the tight ends. I'm guessing the receivers. I wonder what Tyreek Hill is at. I'm going to look at some of those numbers. Travis Kelce has added 50 expected points. There you go. George Kittle, head and shoulders above everybody else. There's a short yardage speed competition between Trent Williams and Deshaun Jackson were the last two standing. I'll ask him about it. I'll ask Trent about it in the locker room tomorrow. Where did you hear this story? Because that sounds cool. 49ers have a lot of guys who have very fast bursts. We've talked about Brock Purdy's 10-yard split. That's showing up on tape. And that was 95th percentile. We talk about Trent Williams just being an absolute legend as far as athleticism goes at that big of a size. So I don't doubt it. Mickey is excited to see Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason get some snaps. Elijah is currently sick. There's a sickness going around right now. So I'm not 100% sure what his status is going to be, but if he's okay by Sunday, then he's definitely going to get some action, because Christian McCaffrey is not going to play. We are 754 subs away from 60,000. So go ahead and sub right now. My wife just texted me. She said that dinner was a bust. She did not like the butternut squash. Butternut squash is something that's grown on me, but it has to be good. If it's not good, then it just tastes like squash, and squash was something I didn't like as a kid. That's too bad. What should I get for dinner? That's the big question right now. It is 5:40, so I still got a little bit of time. We had a really good Mexican food today at Levi Stadium. They usually cater the Wednesdays, and they usually have Mexican food, and it was awesome. So I might have to go to a different genre of food. Maybe like some French onion soup or something hearty like that would be really nice. Everybody's saying burrito. I think I'm going to save the burrito for tomorrow night, Thursday night. And then we're headed to Calistoga on Friday and Saturday. And then the game is on Sunday. So we got a fun few days ahead of us. Following that, Carmel. So if you're in either of those two towns, come and say hello. Ooh, somebody's having chicken cordon bleu. Sorry, I'm answering a couple text messages right now. Am I going to flip the number 17 jersey if the 49ers win the Super Bowl? Of course I am. I'm a man of my word. I don't have the jersey right now. We're going to have it back in the background here soon, maybe as soon as, for tomorrow evening's show, we'll have the jersey back in the background. I'll be in a more standard location. But, oh, yeah, the tri-tip sandwich at Bruno's Deli in Carmel. I've heard legendary things about that. But, yes, I will flip the jersey around. Cool. Somebody got married in Carmel in 2002. That's awesome. Definitely 49ers territory. Somebody said, I've never been to Tommy's Joint. Is that place good? Tommy's Joint on Van Ness, right? Is it worth it? If people endorse it, I'll do a video from Tommy's Joint. I know that they're open really late. So 49ers and the Pro Bowl. Here are the 9 49ers who were selected. People are saying I need to go to Tommy's Joint. All right, I will heed your advice. Who do I think that Aiyuk should have replaced in the Pro Bowl? Well, let's see. Let's do a little bit of an exercise here. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb, or Puka Nacua. I want to do this by yards per route run because I think that efficiency is the most fair way to look at things. So I'm opening up a few numbers. We're going to go by position. This is a nice PFF stat. And yards per route run with receivers with enough targets this year. Tyreek Hill is number 1 at 3.85. Brandon Aiyuk is number 2 at 3.01. Nico Collins, here, I could even put this up. Well, actually, no, I'm just going to read off of it here because it's too small of a font. Nico Collins of the Texans, 3rd at 2.81. CeeDee Lamb, 4th at 2.79. Justin Jefferson, number 5 at 2.73. I know Jefferson only played 9 games, so he's out of the mix. Nacua is down at 7, 2.59 yards per route run. I said CeeDee Lamb was at number 4. And A.J. Brown, A.J. Brown's down at number 8. Brandon Aiyuk is very, very much more efficient than all of the other 3 guys on this list. Ayuk's number of 3.01 yards per route run is second in the NFL. It would be first in almost any other season. But this year, Tyreek Hill was on another planet at 3.85. So normally hitting 3 yards per route run, that was like what Julio Jones did in his prime. That's what Brandon Aiyuk did this year. I think it was overlooked by the fact that Tyreek Hill had such an awesome year that it blew everything out of the water, and by the fact that the 49ers have so many weapons with whom Aiyuk was technically competing with on offense. So I think that Aiyuk could have swapped out for any of the guys that we just listed, but A.J. Brown probably should be at the top of that list. You look of who to replace. He was the least efficient of those receivers. Brown had 1,447 yards. Puka had 1,445, and CeeDee Lamb had 1,651. So obviously the 1,600 yard receiving guy, CeeDee Lamb, just by the default of the Supreme Raw statistics, you can go ahead and give it to him. But beyond that, I think it's important to look at efficiency over just yardage. And Aiyuk had 72 receptions and 1,317 yards. That is so much more efficient than anybody else. The other 2 guys who made it, Puka Nacua, it took him 101 receptions to get his 1,400 yards. And it took A.J. Brown 105 receptions to get his 1,400 yards. It took Brandon Aiyuk only 72 receptions to get his 1,300 yards. So again, like I could show you the success rate and the efficiency chart. You could see how much more efficient Brandon Aiyuk was than everybody else, yet he did not earn that Pro Bowl nod. I'm about to go on a whole little tweet storm about this. How about I do that right now, and then we could talk a little bit later tonight. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. 49ers selected the Pro Bowl, a lot of them, and the 49ers fans came out and voted very, very prolifically. It was awesome. 1.14 million. Maybe the new America's team for the 49ers. 9 Pro Bowlers, most since 2013. We'll talk to everybody soon.